Welcome to Flip Your Script, the vodcast from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine that's all about clinicians redefining care through lifestyle medicine. I'm Dr. Padmaja Patel, President of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I'm board certified in internal medicine and lifestyle medicine and currently serve as Chief Medical Officer at Nudge Health. In just around 15 minutes, we'll bring you 5 key takeaways from leading experts, innovators, and practitioners who are using evidence-based lifestyle medicine to transform patient outcomes. From practical strategies to success stories, we focus on the how of lifestyle medicine to empower you to make an impact in your practice and beyond. In this episode, we are honored to be joined by Meryl Fury and Jeff Nelson. Meryl Fury is the President and CEO of Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, an Illinois 501c3 organization. A public health nurse with over 30 years of experience, Meryl remains dedicated to supporting under-resourced communities. She's the Secretary of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine's Health Equity Achieved Through Lifestyle Medicine Initiative, a Food for Life instructor, and serves on the Medical Advisory Board of the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. Through PBNM, Meryl leads the 6 Million Seeds Child Nutrition Project, an initiative aimed at revolutionizing child nutrition to promote health, compassion, and sustainability. Through targeted education, she inspires and equips people of all ages to make health-conscious dietary decisions. Jeff Nelson is a recreational pilot with a passion for vintage and antique aircraft, flying since 2011. He's also a seasoned entrepreneur, serving as the owner of Acme Construction Metals and Ace Flying Wires. In 2023, Jeff experienced a life-altering heart attack that led to the placement of a stent and the temporary loss of his FAA medical certificate. Unlike many pilots who face significant hurdles returning to the cockpit after such an event, Jeff successfully transformed his health and was back flying as pilot in command within just 9 months. His inspiring journey highlights the power of resilience and lifestyle change in reclaiming not just health, but the ability to pursue what you love. Welcome, Meryl and Jeff. So great to have you both here today. How are you guys doing?
Really good.
Yeah, terrific. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Wonderful. So Jeff, I'm going to start with you first because your journey back to the cockpit after a heart attack is truly inspiring. Can you take us back to that moment? What happened and what sparked your commitment to such a powerful health transformation?
Actually, that was Meryl that
Give her credit.
put me up to it. Of course, I love to fly. I love my airplanes and the freedom that brings.
Yes.
And when I realized, after the heart attack that it was going to be a challenge to get my medical certificate back, it was really Meryl helping me, guiding me to, okay, this is what you need to do. And of course, she had been nudging me in that direction for 20 plus years previously, but me being a little bullheaded, there was some resistance there. But of course, after the heart attack and the realization that I couldn't fly until I got the med certificate back, of course, then we have to reconsider our choices.
Yes.
So, it was at that point, I guess I was willing to do whatever it takes to, get my medical certificate back, but also to realize, what my idea of good food was. The realization that food's trying to kill me.
Yes.
Maybe it is time to pause and reconsider what good food is. And it's not, sausage pizza and the like. It's, plants and, clean, healthy living. And I guarantee without Meryl, I'd be really stuck with how to make that kind of transition. She's been the driver of the whole thing. And at some point shortly after the heart attack, I just kind of just said, okay, whatever she's going to feed me. That
He finally gave in after 25 years is what happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course,
yes, right.
Yes. But it's good.
For anybody making what you would call a lifestyle change, be it dietarian. Of course, for me, she may not have shared with you. I quit smoking some 25 years ago after smoking for, I don't know, 15 years or something. And also I quit drinking alcohol. I haven't had a drink for 37 years. So I've had some big lifestyle changes previously in my life. And so I at least know it takes something to incorporate a change like that for long term and to stick with it. So yeah, the food thing, but like I say, if I was left to my own devices, I'd probably still be eating cheese pizza and going further down the path. But because I'm married to Meryl and she has been able to really get me to start eating that way. And for me, one of the surprising things is how my palate has changed.
Yes.
That the last time one of my employees was on the job site and had a piece of leftover pizza, and I just looked at it as like, look at that big slab of greasy fat. I wouldn't eat that. Where in the past, oh my God, look at that leftover pizza. That looks really good. To where now, my whole view of it, and of course, like I say, my palate has changed.
The taste buds have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. You're so lucky you are that you have Meryl as your support system and continue to nudge you and provide you the ongoing support that you need. So that's awesome. So Meryl, what inspired you and Jeff to focus on lifestyle medicine education efforts, specifically on the piloting community? Was there a moment when it just clicked for both of you?
Yes. So definitely it was a little bit of a pivot point. His heart attack was, right? And we are also part, and Jeff more so than I am, but part of the piloting community. Jeff flies antique aircraft for the most part. And that is a little niche community, a little, everybody knows everybody. It's a very tight-knit kind of community. So we go to banquets periodically. It's, the holiday banquet or the once a summer cookout. And we always have to order our own food and, or something special because the community is eating the standard American diet. And especially when we get together at like a holiday banquet, it's going to be prime rib and mashed potatoes with butter all over it. And then dessert is going to be a cheesecake. There's going to be a salad about the size of a postage stamp. And that's what you get, right? Well, the last time we went to the holiday banquet was it last October or November? The president of the Antique Aircraft Club stood up and was going to say a blessing before the meal. And he started out with, before I say the blessing, I just want everyone to know that our good friend Bob passed away last night of a massive heart attack. That's the way it started.
Oh.
So he said the blessing after that. And for whatever reason, he came over near our table. And I stopped him and I said, we are only all getting older. Every time we come, we've got more gray hair. Every time we come, right? Every time we come, these kinds of announcements will be expected. There'll be somebody else who had a heart attack, somebody else who's not doing well. They're in the hospital. We could do something to change this. People don't have to have a heart attack, They don't have to get diabetes. How would you feel about if we put together some sort of an educational session for the Antique Aircraft Club? Is the way it started. And he was ripe, it happened to be the right time and the right situation. He said, yes, you're right. you're right. We don't want to keep losing our members this way, our friends. And, so that's how it started. We've had one session so far. Actually, it took a better part of a year to pull it all together. So we had one session so far, which was very well received. And now we have another one coming up in a couple weeks.
Interesting. Yeah. So let me just elaborate on what you just talked about, the standard American diet, right? A path that often leads to chronic disease, medical debt, and loss of agency. And so how does your work aim to rewrite that story, especially for pilots and others, those who are in high stakes professions? What is it that your work, how do you influence them?
It's so important. Like Jeff said, pilots, if they're recreational pilots, they fly because they love it.
Right.
They just like to be free and up in the air, and they're zipping from here to there, they're doing loops and spins, and it's wonderful fun for them. They go to fly-ins and can commune with their. I tell them they're his peeps, his tribe at the local fly-in. We live in Wisconsin, so he just spent a couple weeks ago. He was up at Oshkosh for the entire week, which is a massive fly-in. It's important, and I'll put this it's from the spouse's point of view.
Yes.
When the pilot loses their medical clearance to fly, it impacts the entire family, right? If it is a commercial pilot, they lose their career, their income. They cannot fly, right? Not as pilot in command. So that impacts all of their income, medical debt, like you mentioned, right? Plus there's the depression and the stressors, and, the family has grown accustomed to living at whatever standard of living that is. And it's usually those guys and women get paid fairly well. So they're living at a particular standard of living. And to have that taken overnight, literally, it's impactful. It's horrible. It's really horrible. It's very hard. So the idea is that if we can prevent pilots from losing their medical clearance, from having heart attacks, from getting diagnosed with diabetes, and there's a list of diagnoses that the FAA has outlined that will cause medical clearance revocation or cancellation. So it's also depression, right?
There's a lot of depression, some of the meds, if they put you on meds for depression, and they're starting to look at that a little differently, but there's what they call disqualifying events, heart attacks, cancers, as I found out, sleep apnea, kidney stones. If you're known for producing kidney stones, it's all disqualifying events. And once you lose your certificate, there's kind of a long, windy path it takes to go down to get it back.
And not everybody gets it back.
Yes.
There's lots of people who do not get their medical clearance back, and then they lose, if they're a commercial pilot, like I was saying, they lose that's their career done, right? So the idea was we have access to a community of pilots, and just like the mass majority of people in the United States, they don't know about the power of lifestyle to turn your health picture around.
Right.
So that's kind of the approach we took. Just talk to people we know and put together an education session. I know people who know people,
Yes.
So I have a couple of lifestyle cardiologists I can call on, and a couple of lifestyle cardiology nurses I can call on, and we put together an event and have it at a local airport, and it works out well.
Yeah, great. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about how did the shift in your mindset influence your recovery? And more broadly, how can others start embracing that kind of thinking, ideally before a crisis forces them to do it? So what advice do you have for people to think differently about their health?
That's a good question, because even myself, Meryl, badgered me about my diet for 25 plus years. And it took the heart attack for me to finally say, yeah, I need to change something. And I think it may be more predominant in men that somehow, especially young men, we grow up, we're invincible in our own mind. We're invincible. That's going to happen to somebody else. It's not going to happen to me. And so, like I say, even for me, it was a big event that really was the wake-up call. How to get others, on board before they have the big event. That's a good question. It's you already have a community that is somewhat health conscious. You go around the airport, you don't see the really obese people because small airplanes won't carry them. Pilots know weight is critical. So a lot of them are very, at least weight conscious. Even myself, I kept everything fairly close.
Right.
But even now, it's become more critical to realize that any amount of excess weight is only going to cause future problems. How to really bring people on board with thinking that way, and especially not only thinking that way, but being willing to take the actions that are really going to show results. That's a tough question. I guess the more it comes up in the conversation, the more people hear, the more it's the repetitiveness maybe that will get people. And of course, sharing, my experience. This is what happened. And, that's how I tell them. I was just like you. I was invincible until I wasn't. And then it became highly important to do something about it. And I talk with my friends, especially the ones that are carrying extra weight. It's like, you should really think about that. You should look at it and before it gets too late, before you're living with regrets.
Right.
Oh, I wish I would have, or that kind of thing. But also, like I mentioned earlier, being in recovery, you look at the alcoholic addict type person. How do you get through those people? I don't know. It's
a tough one.
There's according to the AA Central Office, there's only about 5% of people that ever make it to Alcoholics Anonymous achieve long-term sobriety. So the numbers are very bleak. And of course, when you really look at alcoholism, it's a thinking problem, as would be food choices or smoking or any of that. It's all thinking. How to change that thinking, how to get somebody to, start little and work, little changes into their thinking to start leading to better choices. But I don't have the answers. All I can do is do what I know is share my story and share with people and try to have the conversation that leads to that kind of thinking.
Yeah. I think
that is powerful. Sharing your personal journey and personal story. I think it's the most powerful thing for anyone to get inspired to really follow your footsteps.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Meryl. You were saying
just going to say, so many times when we talk about, that the way our diet, or my diet hasn't changed an awful lot, but Jeff's has. The way his diet has changed. A lot of his friends are like, "Oh, I couldn't eat. I couldn't live without a cheeseburger. I love prime rib," or whatever their comment is. It helps to have a way to at least sample the kind of food that's available. Like a cheeseburger isn't the be all end all.
Right.
There are other things you can eat. It might be your be all end all. You keep eating like that, it might end everything you have. But just to be able to allow people to sample other foods. So when we do the piloting education events, we have food there that they can taste.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not cooking it from scratch, to be honest, but it's certainly all plant-based and well done. And it just gives people another way to think about it. Like, people very often think a meal is not a meal unless there's at least a quarter pound of
meat and
animal products. Meat, it's got to have lasagna, cheese, something. It's got to have something. People have a very hard time imagining what that kind of food would taste like if it didn't have animal products. So to give people a sample is always helpful.
Yeah, that's powerful, to be able to taste delicious plant-based food options.
That
Sorry,
that
let
is a
me.
big that is a big thing at the last event. How many people I think came, maybe with apprehension about, oh, what's this food going to taste like? And after the fact, they were like, oh, that was really good. And how many times have we seen that, presented stuff that Meryl has cooked from scratch that really, really has good flavor, good taste, where I've certainly gone to restaurants and ordered some vegan options that were like really bland and boring and not very good.
Yeah.
But to be able to spice it up in a way where it really is delicious and people realize, yeah, plant-based diet doesn't have to be this bland, boring thing.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, as we wrap up, what advice would you give to ACLM members and others who are working to bring lifestyle medicine into professions where perhaps losing health can also mean losing a career?
Right.
So, like, for example, aviation or others. So, what advice would you have for our members?
Look for populations of people that need the help, and have a motivation to maintain their health. Now, pilots in particular, that's a great group. There's, I don't know, several 100,000, I would imagine. I believe that's the number I saw last.
Yeah, I would say even truck drivers, they're also
Another one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big group.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. They have a motivation to maintain their health, right? They will lose their career. They'll lose their livelihood if they don't. So go into those environments, maybe speak with, what do you call that? A DOT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DOT examiner. I also
Yes.
have a Class A driver's license, Class A CDL. So along with my medical certificate every other year, I have to go in every year to get what they call a FedMed card. And that's a medical that you have to drive with a Class A CDL. And again, there's a whole segment of the population that has something at stake to keep their health because that's what they have to do to keep their career.
I think that's a powerful motivator for people.
Yes. So more likely to make changes for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Incentivized.
Yes. Well, it's been absolute pleasure speaking with both of you today. While we're out of time, I want to thank you for your insights and for generously sharing your knowledge and passion. Thank you to our audience for tuning into this episode of Flip Your Script. We hope today's conversation has inspired you with practical insights on how lifestyle medicine is shaping the future of patient care. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Stay connected with us for more episodes featuring clinicians and innovators who are rewriting the script on health, one patient at a time. Until next time, take action, make an impact, and keep flipping the script on healthcare. Thank you.